How would you feel about a law requiring parents that receive child support to supply the court with proof of how the child support money is being spent? It's one of those things that sounds good in theory but will be too costly and impractical to do. Edit for clarification, for the people arguing with me, yes, I already know there's no real way for it to work. I simply mean that it sounds good on the surface, but once you start trying to figure out how to do it, the whole idea falls apart. How much money would it waste reviewing and verifying this proof? How would you implement that? A parent has to pay for food for the child and themselves. Are you going to ask for 2 receipts each time? What about the cost of gas, providing a home, electricity, internet, or TV expenses? Do you split all those up proportionally? I get the argument that the parent could spend all the money on themselves, but there's no good way to police it. Child support is supposed to go to everything that it requires to raise a child, which includes sports and clothes for them, but also a lot of shared expenses with the adult. Edit. A lot of responses saying put it on a card that limits purchase types. Again, how would you implement an approved list of purchase types? It takes much more than food and clothes to raise a child. The point of child support is to make sure the child can maintain the lifestyle that would have been afforded to them if both parents were together. I had a TV in my room. Should child support pay for that? Well, if there was never a divorce, I probably would have had it anyway, so child support should go towards that. What about a vacation? I only ever vacationed with my custodial parent. Should child support help to pay my plane ticket? Child support isn't just to ensure that I wasn't on the street, it's meant to maintain the lifestyle that was planned for me when both parents were together. Because it would suddenly turn that everything but bare necessities is an unaffordable luxury. My friend's father threw a tantrum when he saw that he got new shoes because second-hand is enough. Not that he himself bought his wardrobe here, refused to pay for any vacations, edit, Boy Scouts camp, or repair his bike. Annoyed, the most recently released census data shows that, about 3/4, 74.1%, of custodial parents who were due child support in 2013 received either full or partial payments, and less than half, 45.6%, received full payments. Meaning that 25% of parents due child support don't receive payments at all, and an additional 25% did not receive the full payments that were due. That should be addressed first. Source: https://www.census.gov. Content: Dame Census Library Publications 2016 DMOP 6255.pdf. The court system does not have time to babysit everyone who receives child support. I also dislike the idea that under this model there's a presumption that child support money is misspent. There should only be monitoring after a showing of misconduct. Emo: no. I pay my daughter's father, and trust he does what is best. If their family is struggling with expenses, so is my daughter, because she is part of that family too. That's just how I see it. Now, if they went and got into a bunch of financial trouble that was just completely unnecessary, and he couldn't bounce back, maybe that would be grounds to get full custody through the courts. If he couldn't balance the budget appropriately, it would no longer be in her interest to keep her in that household. Who decides whether taking a child to Chuck E. Cheese is appropriate? Eyes of money. Keep the government away from citizens' lives. As a kid of divorced parents, I think it's not a good idea. When my parents got divorced, my dad was a successful attorney and my mom was a stay-at-home mom with a little work experience in retail. My dad didn't want custody of my sister and I, and my mom really couldn't support us. She was able to use child support money to get herself a degree and start a career that benefited us greatly in the long run, as it set my mom up with a decent career. My dad and his second wife were always angry when they saw we had shoes that were getting old or jeans that were getting a little short, and my sister and I would hear about how he was giving my mom all this money for nothing. As soon as we turned 18, he summarily quit paying anything and didn't offer to help with college at all. If he had been able to use the legal system to compel my mom to spend child support in a specific way, I might never have gone to college and my mom might still be working a register at department stores with no hope of retirement and probably on some kind of welfare. As it is, she was able to help us with school and she'll be retiring next year because she's been a medical technologist working in a lab at a local hospital for the last 25 years. I guess here's my problem with that. Say I get $200 in child support, and $1,800 from my job. I spend $500 on stuff for my kid, but I also spend $200 on a giant box of dildos for myself. I can just see cranky exes wasting time in court about spending child support money on dildos. Work for JDRC courts, and although this would probably fall under CSE, their workload is already outstanding for how much they make and the hours they have to work. This would never work out well. No. It would be nitpicky and callous and would waste an incredible amount of the court's time and money. Isn't the point of child support to raise the overall condition of the primary household? If they are doing illegal things with the money or are negligent with the child, that's an issue that needs to be brought forward to the courts. If not, how they spend it is on them. I hate giving 15 of my money to someone that takes care of my kid roughly 5% more than I do, but I understand the logic. The money is not the kids and does not go to them. It goes to the person who has primary or full custody. It would be pointless in almost all cases. Money is fungible, so all one would have to do is provide receipts for food, clothing, bills, etc., which almost everyone has. Plus, don't we have enough bureaucracy already? Now we're going to set up a new division of the government whose sole purpose is to nanny single parents, who already have enough to take care of on their own. Horrible idea. Amazes me the amount of overlap between people who advocate this and people who advocate having the government get off their backs. Sounds like someone is bitter. Don't you mean, who's willing to pay higher taxes so the courts can hire more people to monitor everyone's personal life? The comments about saving receipts, keeping track of expenses, etc. sounds like a lot of work to add on to a single parent's list of responsibilities. It may not seem like it, but taking kids to and from various after-school programs, to and from daycare, school, and then working 40-plus hours a week all while managing the household alone are a lot to handle without the added responsibilities some people are suggesting. I understand that seeing things itemized or tracked would make the parent paying child support feel more at ease about where the money is going. The easiest way to see that your child is being taken care of appropriately is to just talk to your child during visitation and take part in your child's life as well. Most single parents aren't blowing all their money on themselves. The majority of middle-class single parents spend all the child support on their child's necessities, and then spend a large portion of their own income on their child's wants and needs as well, while making large sacrifices to their own lifestyle. I think the law would be redundant. Every child has needs that must be met or risk CPS involvement. Beyond needs are wants, and trying to codify what wants are necessary is a super sticky problem. Every culture and community will be different on this and would be impossible to create a universal standard. Thus, I don't see the point of this other than to give any government types something to scream government overreach at. Because child support hardly ever even gets paid, so I spend my own paycheck on bills, soccer camp, school pictures, haircuts, etc. I leave myself for last, so when child support finally comes through, since I've already paid for everything for the kids, I might use that money for things I need. I understand there are moms out there that live purely off of child support, but there are also moms like me that work hard and rarely ever get any help. If they made a child support card that can only purchase child-related items would be useless for those that hardly ever get paid child support because those items would have already been purchased out of the mom's paycheck. I would feel as strongly as I would about welfare recipients supplying the courts with evidence of how their welfare money is spent. The courts are busy enough as it is, we don't need the government babysitting us any further. If an individual is granted child support, how they choose to spend that money is entirely up to them. The courts should only get involved if there is actual evidence of misuse or that if the child is suffering or being neglected.